Welcome to What's in the Pot. I'm your host Sean Grande, and today I'm going to show you how to make pulled pork. That's right, I make some Carolina style pulled pork as well as my own homemade dry rub and vinegar Carolina style barbecue sauce. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for tuning in to What's in the Pot. Welcome to What's in the Pot. So for my Carolina mop sauce, I'm going to start with half a cup of apple cider vinegar, and I'm also going to be going in with half a cup of regular white vinegar. Now there are some people that actually use just 1 full cup of apple cider vinegar or 1 full cup of just regular white vinegar. I like the mixture of both. I'm going in with 1 teaspoon of salt, and you can use any kind of table salt. I'm using sea salt, and I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of red chili pepper flakes. Now this, you can limit the amount of heat you want, so you don't have to use 3 teaspoons if you don't like it hot. I'm also going to be adding 2 teaspoons of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of this Trinidad hot sauce. Now this is more of like a habanero or a Scotch bonnet pepper sauce. Some people use like a Louisiana kind of hot sauce. You can use that if you don't want, or if you don't have the habanero type hot sauce. And I'm adding about 2 teaspoons of agave sauce to sweeten it up instead of sugar. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of ketchup from my tomato base. Now once we added all our ingredients, what we're going to do is we're going to give this a good whip. And we want to make sure we make this at least the night before, a couple days before. The longer these flavors marinate together, the better it's going to stay. You can use a pickling jar or any kind of jar you have on hand. As you can see, I have leftover jam jar. Remember, put this in the fridge overnight. It's going to taste amazing the next day. Now for my dry rub, I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I actually ran out of brown sugar, so I'm going to be substituting 1 of the tablespoons with white sugar, but go ahead and use 3 tablespoons of brown sugar if you have it in hand. 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of paprika, sweet or spicy, really up to you, and about 1.5 tablespoons of salt, and I'm using sea salt. You can use kosher salt. I'm also going to be adding 2 teaspoons of my homemade adobo seasoning. My homemade adobo seasoning actually has a little bit of garlic, a little bit of onion powder, has a little bit of everything. So you can find that recipe on my YouTube channel. We're also going to be adding 1 teaspoon of ground cumin powder, and I'm going to be adding some heat. Now this is my scorpion pepper powder I got from that island field. I'm adding 1/8 of a teaspoon because this stuff is really hot. You don't want to be too hot that you can't enjoy the pork, but you want that little bit of heat, and you're going to get that mixture of that sweet from the sugars and a little bit of that spice from the scorpion pepper powder. This is our final product. We're going to go ahead and start putting this on our pork. Now for my pork, this is my dry rub that I put in a leftover spice bottle that I had. So you know, I always keep them extra spice bottles just in case you're gonna need it. I'm also gonna be using some yellow mustard. Now I'm gonna be cooking this with the fat side on the top. So let's season the bottom. I'm gonna add a little bit of mustard. Make sure you baste that mustard all over. Just kind of massage it through all the pieces of meat. And then what we're gonna do is generously add our dry rub. And to me, looking back at it, I should have added a little bit more dry rub, but go ahead and add as much as you want. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to make sure we get that dry rub on every single piece of that meat. We want to make sure on all the sides it gets covered in that dry rub so it has all the flavor. Now I'm going to score the top of the pork. And remember, I'm cooking this fat side up, and I'm hoping it gets crispy. I saw on barbecue, right? He did kind of similar thing, and he got some nice crispy bits. So that's my goal. Let's see how it comes out. But also for me, I think when we score it, we're going to let a little bit of that mustard flavor kind of soak into the meat, and also with our dry rub. So just like we did at the bottom, we're going to cover it up with some of that mustard, give it a nice rub, massage that mustard right into the top. And then what we're going to do is we're going to liberally, and I should have put a little bit more, as I said looking back when I did the bottom, but liberally put as much dry rub as possible on the top so it creates a nice crust. While we're finishing seasoning the pork, I have my pellet grill set to 250 degrees. I'm also going to be using a competition blend of lumberjack pellets. Now let's go ahead and pop this on the grill. I got the pork butt on the grill. Now I'm cooking it at 250 degrees, and I'm looking for internal temperature of 160 before we go ahead and wrap it. I'm also going to be basting it with that mop sauce on the hour just to make sure that it doesn't dry out. While we're cooking, Hurricane Sally decided to pass through Tampa, but we still kept on grilling. Everything was still intact. Everything was perfect. This is our pork at 160 degrees. It's about maybe 5.5 hours total cooking time right here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Before I go ahead and wrap this up, I'll be adding a generous amount of my mopping sauce. Some people put barbecue sauce. I like to add that mopping sauce because I'm going with the Carolina style barbecue. So you want to make sure you give it all those Carolina style flavors. And just make sure you wrap it real good. Make sure you wrap the pork so it seals in and locks in all the flavors, and it'll help with the cooking process towards the end. Now I did hit a little bit of a stall, but not too much, maybe about half an hour. So my total cooking time was almost 10 hours. And the main thing is, when you cook and pull pork, when it's done, put it in a cooler or put it in the oven for about 90 minutes before you start taking it apart. And the main thing is you want to make sure that bone pops right out nice and easy. And that's what we have here. And this is our final product. This is our Carolina pulled pork. This is actually my first time making Carolina style pulled pork. Actually, first time making pulled pork in general. So I think I did pretty good. I wanted that skin to be a little bit more crispy, but it still came out with lots of flavor, lots of color, and all the juices. I mean, all that juices that were at the bottom of that foil, I'm gonna mix that in. You can see the nice color, the skin got all the flavor. It's absolutely delicious. So thank you very much for tuning into What's in the Pot. Remember, the cooking time was about almost 10 hours. So all the ingredients will be in the description below. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Peace.